Thank you for coming to visit the Voice of Reason on the subject of that Netanyahu gang's attempt to steal the show from the Dutch children in the log cabin. There's a lot to be garnered from the notes I've taken. I'm losing my spontaneity because of the desire to um, remember things I've just forgotten. And you can learn a lot about the viciousness of the Seattle Empire system by the way they chewed the carpet through my delay of responding to my sister's "I love you, man." Because um, one of the things that I've pointed out is that Hollywood is controlled by the Axis, and it's a big mistake of the Generation Z not to focus on dismantling Hollywood. Instead, they secretly appeal to Hollywood in their activities. It's a big mistake. Deliverance itself, the film, has been shown to have serviced the Kennedy assassination. But we have family voices that were supposed to contradict our inner thoughts to appeal to for the sake of acceptance. And the system that's in place has been around since the 70s. They knew that where we would be at this point. They've been authoring crimes, war crimes, and genocides in phases. And um, I'd like to focus on some of these issues in a series of loosely construed talks about prime time access. One of the points is after the horrifying riot that went on throughout the 90s with Obama, Maduro Goto, David Bowie, Ronald Reagan, and Tune from behind the scenes. I asked at CMU why would gay people support their own genocide, and a spokesman for Trump, McCartney, and Ono named David McWade replied, "People are weird." So the hidden message of Gauze is from Lenin Sudini. They're stealing the show this way. They're claiming that Schulman had settlers' rights to pilfer the Carnegie for all of these millions of books millions of dollars in books that he spirited away to Netanyahu and Trumpy, who murdered my father with Ono and put Donahue on his obituary. When Ming-Na Wen and Gail Burston, when Gail Burston, they did work together. I'll get to that. Ming-Na Wen swinging by, "Hey, queer raw, I want to be friends now," after horrifying gyrations and acts of torture, all of which were predicated on blackmail and servitude to the idea of witness protection. Maybe you'll get away with your name on our manuscript, queer bait. Is there? You're the check we're going to give to the victims. And this is even Edgar Martinez, who had Orlando Cepeda, is taken in by this at his retirement. You know, he would have had Roberto Clemente. These people used Roberto Clemente's name for the rape of a deaf girl who has Down syndrome, literally. Rosa Clemente brought in Rosa Monteleone with Aaron Dixon and Aaron Bailey, Beetle Bailey. Get it? Gets her. Bailey gets her in the two versions Pussy Bowl. When Gail Burston told her brother she heard from Jimmy, he said, "Jimmy who? Jimmy who?" Like Netanyahu and Donahue. It's an Ono trick of language. Seattle supports her trapping Gaza, who can either support her too or be condemned by Seattle queerdom. How about that? So Gaza has to go along with their own genocide racket to appease the queers who went along with their own genocide racket. Ain't that something? And who pulled this rabbit out of the hat was Mick Jagger. Make no mistake, What they're playing, if you're monitoring my TikTok, you know they have some real hotties. And one of the things they did was they castrated me. So Chun, he loves revenge, and they're gurgling, "Oh, queer man can't get up," and he's seeing all these licky chops girls. They are some real hotties, and they entire legacy of the '80s is Senegal covering for Hitler Reagan this way, and we know that it's holy war. This is not a dating game they're playing. Penis Gabriel was ripping the carpets. Toria Wilcox is tearing the carpets with her jaws because Moon Unit Zappa insist that queerbait be poisoned with HIV. That was the whole game with Gail Zappa and Gail Burstyn from the very beginning. They poisoned the mind. Wadmaker used to talk about sick in the mind. See, you get the idea of how it would have operated looking at Eisenstein's little gaggle like Alice Wynne and corpulents who just sort of fester like Leon Ellis and Norman. You get this gaggle who secretly tape everything, and they say, "Ooh, he." Imagine the IDF in this room, and they bring out three Palestinians who they've beaten half to death for years and kept in solitary confinement, and they have the UN peep and Al Jazeera peep, and they say, "Before we let you go, my fine Palestinian compatriots, we would like you to tell Roger Waters and his friends, how did we treat you? How did you like how we treated you? Were we hospitable?" The Palestinians who want to be free say, "Oh, they're fine. We were fine. We were fine." That's it. Director's cut. Oliver Stone makes off with the movie, right? That's exactly what they did to me. They locked me in a house from the inside with a man who had tortured me as a child, and they had Baziana, Migno Wen, and Peepers saying, "Oh, he looked like he was friendly to him because he stood between me and the exit door." And this is um, what they mean by Jimmy Who. This is and the Licky Chops crowd of Yoko Ono are into crying cafes. They monitor. They actually clock things on TikTok. They put up things about deaf people they know are gonna make me cry because they're secretly getting the deaf community together to say, It's really no skin off my teeth that Jackie Kennedy has been visually implicated in the assassination of JFK. It ties to Nayansky, to that Gurdjieff clock. It explains why Gail Burstyn is on the cover of one of Robert Fripp records, why when they stole the show the first time, the Beatles promoted the Rolling Stones, why Mick Jagger uh, put together performance and who actually took me to see that horrible movie by Ken Russell when I was sick with the flu as a child. Um, Pittsburgh Defense has a grapevine that's all set up in advance through the picket lobby. They call themselves the Friends, and they say, "Oh, he made a boo boo," and they vie for prime time on the neurohypnotic voiceovers that they impinge from a sickness of the mind. You can see how it would have operated. The NAACP has no shame. I mean, they're like, he's going to lie to his sister. He's going to lie to his sister. But they protested. Protest that Nelson Mandela, there was a plan to poison him, so he'd be saying, Fitzgerald's naughty, and embarrass the African National Congress. You get the idea of how it would have worked if they'd seen that through by looking at what this freak show pulled with Nina pornographic attorneys and the scriptwriters in full view. Will Zell-Brum, evaluate my voice. He said, what think of a scheme to transform the human race by injecting the blood in front of me and a witness in the Poconos Mountains. Come, gets us up. Said, set up your sailing hot wires to the brainwave. Is it Robert? I'm moving in the penis cable. Did he really say that? Did he really say that? Or is Queerbait pulling a Netanyahu? Before we let you go, we'd like you to tell us how these gentlemen treated you. Did they give you some licky queer ball? And this is what they're doing. It's no dating game. Penis Gabriel wants to finish me off, and he's pulling a last temptation. Squeeze and they're threatening me with all kinds of other stuff. They're sick, deranged, weird offenders in Seattle. Instead of doing something constructive to get our money away from the warmongers, they're playing a dice game of privilege the competing genocides. And they have people like Danny Haifong all set up. Tell us again, we think maybe you're lying about Andrea Swimmer, Queerbait. And they sexualize all of the avenues of discourse because they want to get away with Noam Chomsky's and Trump's plan to see beyond the AIDS attack into the problem of the Mendoza line of climate warming, 2 degrees. And they had it all planned. They called it Flame Over Africa back in the 70s. They had it all planned. They had Nutbag, Richard, and Richard Starkey have brilliant, culture-invaded, brilliant people. Attenborough and Schwarzenegger had Greta planned before she was born. And the robber barons used demolitions and socialized sex to forge me into a demonstration model of a liberal hell for their genocide program, and their black Dakota expects me to applaud their complicit gangsterism, about which Cornel West brags, openly brags. And the thing is that they have this thing that they spit out about extreme cinema and the guilt of the perceptor. In other words, when I look at beautiful hotties getting their boobies licked, I'm underwriting Deliverance snuff films in Dealey Plaza because television is the devil. The infidels have the most to fear from Queerbait, not Hitler, Reagan, Soviet Jewry. The equivalizing mind of the rabid psychiatrist Jack Ruby and Charles Manson had the same psychiatrist in Pittsburgh. Clear sail lines for Gales, Burson, Raven, and Zappa. The notion of abortion being genocide, which they love genocide. It gives them licky chops. And they do this to put the trademark of administrative lobby as slitheringness. Are you gonna, don't you know that the Carters were in on Mount Desert Island? They gave Netanyahu's, that Joe Kaplan had to hold hands with Marianne Steiner. I want you to think really deeply, Marianne Steiner. What did you begin and cease, and then again begin and then stop? Oh my God. Oh my God, he didn't define trespass. He pulled out too fast. Surely he pulled out. Tell me, Marianne, he pulled out too fast. We need a +1 dad because P.S. Gabriel. Toya Wilcox is ravaging the carpets. Million and Zappa wants to +1 that sucker. That's the mystery of this slitheringness. You're supposed to not tell because it implicates your family. Well, it turns out, Bobby Kennedy, it doesn't mean very much to me whether or not Jackie Kennedy killed your uncle. In terms of your public relations, what I want to know is what happened. See the difference? Now you can come at me the same way. Your mama, your sister. We get licky stuff. We'll get the M tracker on Penis Thinfield. Will snivel his butchery and war crime behind all this in politics. You don't want it to constructive not to talk about these things. So they have Africa being promoted by genocidalists. And Trump, of course, he got the queers to endorse their own genocide by by not telling them about John Lennon Houdini, which is the mystery of all this slitheringness. Children of the world normally would have access to milk, it says, but not the children of Gaza. Normally, gays would care that they were prancing and putting on a puppet show for Hitler Reagan. But Roger Waters says, no, you need to do that for Yoko Ono because she has the LSD spirits and she's going to promote a Fluxus recycle of the Pittsburgh's offense, which is a grapevine all set up here in advance through the picket lobby, and we're going to find Queerball's Boo Boo. And they have put out a song called Love Will Get You Like a Case of Anthrax, and then stood outside the World Trade Center with stilettos when they released the Anthrax, and this gets completely ignored in favor of a celebrity wolf pack um, arming the paper shredders and for Mick Jagger and this dude Nijinsky. It's what they were after is the extinction of awareness. For example, it would be important to look into. They had me. Ty looked like Fripp in that 23rd birthday picture in Young Person's Guide to King Crimson, and it's because Fripp and Ty were working together on the Walrus script. You have these cute little index signifiers like Rodney Tag. Remember Rodney Toady from Giles and Fripp? Well, Ron D. Tag was my first piano teacher. Ron D. Tag. Ron Dog Tag. Get it? These cute little signifiers that imply explanations for the world that you inhabit. They had me singing Tumba La Laika, Laugh and Be Gay. You know, what we need to bring about is the extinction of Mossad, the Mossad. That's so Spocus reported. How about that? He said, what would you think was a scheme to transform the human race by injecting the blood before Penis Gabriel put on his little perfect storm, burning down the Jackson Labs? This is the consequence of putting Vichy's Gurdjieff Society in charge of witness protection. They want to, and they say the Quakers crow that there's some sort of what they call golden rule in what they're doing. In other words, they somewhere in their bag of tricks have it that I poured white phosphorus on the children of Gaza. I didn't pour no white phosphorus on the children of Gaza. Somewhere in their bag of tricks, they have the idea that Yoko Ono's revenge porn is the same as Neva pornographic abducting a child on a snowy day and terrorizing him into a neurotraumatic trance of coma. White phosphorus, neurotraumatic trance. They got Mandela's brain in the world's worst crime ever. They knew my natural estate was to be part of the aristocracy of administration for the benefit of the working poor. They knew that. What they're pulling is the worst crime ever. And before we let you go, we'd like you to tell these gentlemen how you feel about them. And the way they do it is they say, well, Lenin forged your name as the walrus of Little Nicole. And then you failed to prevent his Houdini, so we get to say you killed him. Oh. And it's all set up with Leon Elson, Norman, and Andrew Swimmer. That leads to Jaime Carbonell and a man named Milnes. He's got plenty of Milnes. He's going to kill Milnes. Milnes, and this dude is from the Tanyahu headquarters. When Gail Buster told her brother, she heard from Jimmy. He said, Jimmy who? Leslie Katz was the Valkyrie of the AIDS attack. Her virginity proved rape for Robert Fripp. Oh, the man who knows all in his philosophy saint. He's the man of truth. 40 years, but they say things that I wouldn't even dare to repeat. They're so sadistically inflated garbage from the Israelis. Propaganda. They put out this movie that is as sick as I have in my YouTube channel. It's as sick as the women in Pink Floyd The Wall. I mean, woo, we will kill and annihilate. We will kill and annihilate. And this is absolute truth to Robert Fripp, who claimed that a neuroplasm from a child in trauma kidnapped on a snowy, terrified day proved that Leslie Katz's virginity was raped. That's what he said. Not just once. over and over and over again while praying that his Vichy, sinister Vichy monkey bag was absolute truth. This is the fact of the Honduras Alliance from Great Britain headquarters. The Sunak Nunaks, that's the truth about them. The absolute gospel truth about these weird freak out Hitlers engaged in Putin and Fauci working together on the COVID attack, the AIDS attack being symbolized by the birthmark of Gorbachev, by Gail Burson's impunity and appearance on the cover of Fripp's record, by their depredating on the persona, the successive degradation, so Twisted Ankle Louis could say, next time you have sex, we eject you because of abortion, queerball. Queerball, abortion is genocide. This is the truth of this ROTC freak out center they call Seattle left into comments. It's the truth. And so, gather up your dead bodies, bury your dead, treat your sick, struggle to access the limited aid that's coming, and mentally prepare for the next massacre because people are weird at Carnegie Mellon University. The manner in which I was threatened into taking a Tylenol, which ruined me and led me to predict the murder and warn the school about the impending murder of Shannon Harps, getting me banned from college in Seattle as a form of hybrid war, from Vichy Gurdjieff's weaponized witness protection blackmail that I will call Amtrak for the time being. And it's not being allowed into prime time because of Access Hollywood. They want to, what the Tune calls, establish the narrative for guess who? Mick Jagger and Ming-Na Wen.